Welcome to Brothers and Booze. Have you ever been on one of those things, Doug?
No, nor will I.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that lady did far better than me. I would have fell right on my ass. So,
right, she did great.
I'd have been like one of those epic fail videos.
Yeah, we were definitely. I was waiting for that to happen, and I was just like, "Lady, just put the thing," and she did. It was great.
Jump off. I'm jumping off this thing, right?
Right.
So, man, how are you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing great because I have one of my favorite seasonals on kind of tap here. Idiot Farm from one of my faves, Carbon 4, Imperial Indian Pale Ale. It's interesting that they call themselves this. I don't know. This beer was one of the first big IPAs that I found that I really loved. It brought me into the IPA world, really, because it's so big and hop forward, hops in the nose. It's fantastic. It's 8.5%. But it gives off the the nice citrus. But I don't know, Doug, have I got you one of these? I need to get you one of these because I don't know if this is your thing. I can't hear you. But
I accidentally hit mute on the microphone. Sorry, folks.
There you go. Okay,
we're professionals here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I know I haven't had one of those from you. The IPAs, you know how it is. Some of them are a little dicey for me, depending. And an Imperial one, that could be either or for me. So, but if you're saying it's great, then at some point I'll need to try that one.
It's a great one, but I don't know if it's your speed.
Yeah, my speed is pretty slow when it comes to the IPAs.
Right.
Speaking of which, I'm going to start with an IPA as well. I'm going to start with an IPA as well, although I'm a little worried because Daniel Fisher sent me this how long ago, and I'm maybe waited too long. We'll see. It was canned May 3rd.
Wait, what was that again? Let's see it.
It's the Northeast IPA from Alewife. Narrative on Reality.
Yeah, I did this one last week or the week before. It's fine.
Yeah. So I just, you know me,
I hope.
It was like in my fridge. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to drink that one. So pour that puppy out.
Good evening, JHG. Man, he's good.
Look at that. Lovely color. I got that nice citrusy nose for the New England IPA. So I actually do generally like New England IPAs. It's one of my favorites if I'm going to pick an IPA style. Man, even though it's a month old, still not as crisp as it would be if I would have drank it right when he sent it to me, but still really good. Like definitely not like a malt bomb, which is sometimes what you get if you have an IPA too long, but really good, tasty, good for the hot weather, man. So cheers.
Cheers. And a few let's hit a few notes before we bring on our funny and fabulous guest. We are so we're gonna be missing some shows here, Doug, coming up. I don't know if you want to talk about where you're gonna be going, but I will be going to Barrel and Flow this year, which is the new Fresh Fest. I signed up. Yep. This is my first trip out of the house, Doug. Almost literally. Hey, I still do curbside supermarket. I did one this morning. I love it. But actually, it's less about the real side point. It's less about the virus and more about time at this point. Like, unless it's something I really need to go in for, most of the stuff that I'm getting is just like the same shit we always get. So so for curbside, I can just put that in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't even have to spend the 40 minutes going in there. And then also it limits how much I fucking spend. But with that being said, back to Barrel and Flow, which is the new Fresh Fest. That's going to be fantastic. Yes. Yeah, can't wait. And I'm hearing some rumors of many people who've been on this stream going. And some new, maybe the Pressberries.
That's what I've heard. The person said yes. That was, I believe, Jerry, and he's definitely going.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I put that on social media. Cheers for that. But another thing too is I talked about it in a beer group, but I haven't talked anything publicly about me working on some charity beers for the Black Brothers Foundation. Daddy's Porter is the first one.
Clever. Cheers to that, though. For real, that's great.
Yes, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah, you gotta meet my friend Smitty at Barrel and Flow.
Yeah, and he just posted something in that beer group today where it was one of them was named after a Dave Chappelle quote.
Oh, a beer collab they did.
Yeah, and it was like modern times deserve modern solutions, which was something Dave Chappelle did in one of his skits on the Chappelle show.
Yes. But it's also a play on what's going on in the craft beer world too.
True.
It's a double
entendre.
Yes, is that what they call it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, because our guest is a writer too, so I don't want to get bowled over by y'all's right. I'm going to get bowled over by y'all's writing terms and all that other wonderful stuff.
Maybe by our guest, not by me.
Well, we'll get to that part for sure. But so yeah, more details on that collab that I'm working on with on that charity beer, Daddy's Porter. More details coming soon. And lastly, we're going to be I can pretty much say we're going to be doing a live Badger Beer Hour at a time and a place that I can't say yet. So
mystery show.
That will be fun too. We got a lot going on, dog.
Yeah. Does that mean you're going to have Chris Drosner and Landon Cherney
and
present?
Me all in the same room at one time?
You're not going to have like heart palpitations by being in person, are you? I know. I'm just being an ass. It's kind of my role on the show is to be an ass.
It'll be a good time to it'll be the first time that Chris and Draws met each other, so that'll be great. Or the same room.
Yep. I mean, that's going to be so cool. And I'm not even from Wisconsin, and I try to watch your Badger Beer every week because it's so much different than this. It's way more professional and produced, and it's just always great. And if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. And if it's going to be a live show, that's going to be freaking great.
It's fun. And then I also talked about, we got announcements all over the place. Talked about the gaming stream.
Yeah, that's still coming together. Yeah.
Yes. And it's going to be, we're starting in July, but we don't have a specific, we have a date, but we still got some things to do. We still got some things to do until we can say, yes, it's going to happen.
For sure.
But that's going to happen soon too. So we're doing great. And what's going on in these comments?
That's because of there is going to be for the Cicerone class that we're in. Jerry and Jeff and I are all in the same one with Robert Scroggs.
Are you going tomorrow?
Well, I'm not. It's in Texas. I'm not flying to Texas to hang out. Maybe Jerry is because Jerry and Jeff live in the same area, and they're doing like a live, like everybody's gonna meet and have like a beer tasting. So
a mystery live show.
That's for you, Badger Beer Hour.
Mystery tuna Subway? No. It's that tofu, isn't it?
I don't know what it is.
Right?
Not tuna, we know that.
All right.
Yeah. And I have no announcements. I'm just hanging on for the ride.
No announcements.
No, the only thing is that the reason I'm missing is I would go to Barrel and Flow, but Barrel and Flow is happening the weekend that my wife and I are getting ready to go to Iceland. And for our 10-year wedding anniversary and my 50th birthday. So I'm celebrating both of those in Iceland.
Isn't it going to be cold there?
Oh, dude. I don't like this hot shit. I'd much rather be where it's 40 degrees. So
I'm just asking, right? It's Iceland. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's cold, right? I'm just asking.
Well, it is cold in spots, depending on where you go. And then it's also like an incredibly active like volcanic undercurrent going on in that country. So like most of their heat is geothermal and like it's pretty rad.
Technically it's an overcurrent, I think, because it's erupting.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a geologist or a volcanologist either. So Yeah, Manny. Hey, guess what, buddy? This is coming to you.
The mystery, right, is right. No, we got it, Jay. I mean, at least I got it. I got it. Right. Yeah, no, dog. Tomorrow is the beer release from Smitty and Celestial.
Oh, I thought that was for the. Sorry, Jeff.
Yes, it's a collab. It's the one that has the double entendre or whatever you said.
Yep.
All right. So, without further ado,
yeah, we're like 12 minutes in. We should bring him in.
It's time to bring on our guest, someone we've met at that 2.0. He's I like using the word fabulous. We need to use it more. He's a fabulous writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's a craft beer drinker. He is a Mad Elf lover. Sarcasm. He's a minor league baseball fan. Did I mention he's a writer? We're gonna bring him on. What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Hey, Kevin.
He's from a fabulous writer and a heavy drinker. Is that what you said?
I think he's
describing drinker there.
I thought I said craft beer drinker, but I might have.
Craft beer drinker. Okay, that's fine.
I might have Freudian slipped.
Yeah, maybe. There is a whole the drunk writer trope, so maybe you could just fall into that one.
Have you ever seen the movie Lost Weekend or read the book?
No.
It was a movie back in the 40s, and it was based on a famous novel about a guy who's a writer who just goes on a total bender. And the movie is great, but the book really makes you rethink everything you do when you have a drink. He's like tying bottles of whiskey and hanging them out the window of his apartment so his girlfriend can't find them.
That doesn't seem like a really good way to hide bottles. Okay.
Right.
It was the 40s. I guess there were less hiding spaces.
Yeah, sure. So do you have anything you're drinking there, Kevin?
Yes. Since I know Greg was asking about things I like to drink in the spring. So, of course, it's the last one I wrote. So, spring, I kind of like Hellas lagers I love. Are great spring beers. Malbox are great. And it's so hard to find them. This is by Idle Hands, which is a Massachusetts beer, which is not that far from where I live now. And I heard guys talk about Idle Hands all the time on the Daddy Porter site. And for whatever reason, I've been up here for like 8-9 months, and I only recently actually picked up some Idle Hands beers in the my local packy, they like to say around here.
Why have you not gotten it until now? It's just like it just.
I don't know why. I don't think I really know. I don't really think I saw them. I mean, you go into the store, you go into the package stores around here these days, and it's like every single can. They've got tons and tons of 4-packs from all the craft breweries, and they're just all multicolored and all over the map and everything. And I'm going through, and it's New England IPA, New England IPA, New England IPA. So I have to like focus really hard to try to find something that I like New England IPAs, but I just don't want them every single time I have a beer. I like a little variety. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Our guest we had last week was like we were making fun of them for having pastry stouts on tap in the middle of summer, like at the beginning of summer. And I'm like, yeah, but I went to a place where they had 20 taps and 16 of them were IPAs. So like, what if? So yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your little beer show. What you got there?
So this is it's called Bluma, and that's their seasonal Malbock they make in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, my box's not a style that I see a lot of, but I do like them when I can find them.
That's the thing. I like them too, and they're hard to find. It's just first it was just West Coast IPAs, and now it's New England IPAs. Everything's hazy and whatever, and that stuff's fine. I enjoy them, but I don't want to drink them, every single time I have a beer. So I kind of like to go for a little variety. And yeah, it's a great style. It's light. It's crisp. It's got the best ones usually have a slight boozy edge to them,
Yeah.
And it's great. It goes down easy. And I can use it. I spent 2 hours delivering lasagnas today for my wife. My wife has gotten into this charity thing where people who need food help or something, you make a lasagna for them. Today she's like, she was saying she hasn't had any in a long time. Well, around 4 o'clock, she's like, okay, so I've got these 2 lasagnas. The problem is I have a Zoom call with my office that I have to do at 5, so you're going to have to deliver them for me. The thing is, one was half an hour that way, and the other one was half an hour that way during the middle of rush hour traffic. So I had 2 hours making a circular route to deliver lasagnas. But the people were very happy when they got them.
Yeah. So basically, it's not your wife got into the charity work. You both got into the charity work.
That's usually how it kind of works.
Doug already knows, apparently.
Yeah, well, hey, that's fine. I just thought it was funny. He's like, yeah, she got into charity work. Meanwhile, I'm doing the one lugging it all around.
Yeah, so Doug, welcome to the 50 Club.
Yeah, that's coming up in September, baby. I'll be, like I said, I'll be in Iceland for that, which will be weird, but
nice.
Drinking all them lagers up there.
Yeah, what's funny is Iceland itself had a pretty prohibition approach to alcohol until pretty recently. They don't have a lot of beer or liquor in their country. So yeah, it's like they recommend if you want beverages, you come in and get it at the duty free when you come into the airport, because there's not a lot to be found elsewhere.
There was during the pandemic, and I was ordering beer through Drizzly and whatever apps from the local stores who have home delivery. Is it Eisbach or something, which comes from Iceland? It was the first time I've ever seen an Icelandic beer. I had a couple. They're not that bad. I think I had a pale ale and a white ale.
Yeah, they that's like their only real big brewery. I don't know that they have a whole lot of others. So yeah, it'll be interesting because usually on vacation you like to have a few beverages. So
it's a lager fest up there. It is. Warning.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but it's like
it's just a little like having too many IPAs.
I'm probably gonna get blown up in the comments here, but it's fine. It's a basic bitch. It's basic bitch lager. Like the lady went to Iceland and bought a whole bunch of beer back, and most of it, I mean, it was really good, but it was basic bitch lager. Sorry.
Is it the Truly of beers?
No, it's just I don't know. I'm a lager fan, but I'm a craft. Maybe I can say I'm a craft beer lager fan. Once I grew out of lagers, and once craft beer started going back to them and making them in the way that craft beer does, then I started going back. Is kind of where I'm at. I love lagers. I'm not even trying to talk down on them. That's why I think I'm going to get blown up in the comments because people think I'm talking down on lagers. I'm actually talking down on basic bitch lagers, which are, again, basic bitch lagers. There's nothing to them. So, it's hard to distinguish one from the other. We can argue whether Pabst is better than Old Milwaukee or whatever, but I'm not having that discussion right now. Yes, Jerry. Yes, I agree. For sure. Yes. But the ones from Iceland that I've had were mostly basic. And there's some good ones though, Doug. Look for it, and I don't know. I would say drink what I don't have to tell you that. I don't have to tell anybody. I just drink what the locals drink. So you remember my trip to Montana when I was drinking all those Scotch ales and Scottish ales that they love up there because they got the barley forever. And so that's drink with the locals, man. So I don't, what have you researched this? Have you what do they drink up there?
Like I said, the only thing that I've seen is like that one that Kevin mentioned is their main one. Eisbach, I think, is like it's not spelled like ICE, it's like EIS.
EIS something.
Yes.
Yeah. And
they have that porter is really good too.
Yeah, they have a vodka that I'm going to try there that is somehow fermented with sheep dung. So I'm going to give that a try.
You're willingly
not fermented. I think it's. I'll look it up here. Give me a minute. Talks amongst yourselves while I find that.
Well, we can just get rid of you, It's really that simple.
This is the way it should be, Greg.
Right. Well, here, I'll sneak in a video. It's a quick one. So apparently,
is that popcorn catching fire.
Yeah, that was fireworks. The caption said that some idiots started a fire by the fireworks, and that dude just walked off. He just quit his job. He was just tired of it. Right. 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 So that brings up two different angles we can go. We can go a serious angle, we can go a fun angle. You guys pick. The serious angle is overall, it's not, once the pandemic has ended and it's waning here, we're seeing that working class jobs aren't being filled that were filled before the pandemic. So now everybody's like, oh, they're just being paid, or they're just, living the high life off the government and all this stuff. But now we're seeing pilots and flight attendants and people who make more money than, I would say, generally working class people do, not returning to their jobs or taking other jobs or doing something. Is there more going on? Like, what's really, really going on as far as our workplace? And are people just starting to really feel their value and saying, fuck it, I'm not going to do that anymore? Or, so then the funny angle is, or maybe it's not funny. Is it fireworks season already in your neighborhood? Because it already is in mine.
Yes.
And when is the fireworks? Like, when is that buffer? I know America Day is coming, and that's when everybody fires off their fireworks because it's America Day, and that's what we do. We do it until 3 a.m., and we scare all the dogs and all the people who have to work the next day, and everybody gets all fed up because people want to do it all weekend. But now I started hearing it like last weekend. So is there any is this like Christmas where fucking like we can start advertising in August? Or is this like fucking pumpkin beers that like Doug told me that somebody was trying to make one last week or something? Like, what the hell? So
were the 15th fireworks last weekend? That might have been why.
Ooh, I didn't even consider that.
What was it?
You're saying Juneteenth
was last weekend, and that might have been.
You seem unconvinced.
I'm sorry I had to do that to you, Craig.
No, in my neighborhood, hell no. Okay, I get to say that. Okay, I can say that in my neighborhood, hell no. In a different neighborhood, possibly, but no. So I don't know if you guys want to jump off on either one. Yeah. In Texas, it's never not fireworks season.
Yeah.
Yes, that is definitely true.
Fireworks for days already.
I feel left out. It's pretty quiet up here.
No, we had just last night. Jill and I were like, "What the fuck is all that noise?" And it was somebody shooting off fireworks, and we're like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, and fortunately, our dog doesn't pay attention, so it doesn't bother him. But like, Jesus
so is it
Christ,
like is it 2 weeks before America Day? When is it? Like, it's about America Day, isn't it? Is that? And then they started selling.
Yeah, you've got about a week and a half almost. A little less than a week and a half.
So it's happening in.
Okay, and the other part of this in New York State, fireworks are illegal.
Oh.
So somebody's breaking the law. And what's weird is we've seen some tents like in parking lots where they're selling fireworks, and we were like, did they change the law or something? Because that wasn't.
Well, sometimes I know in Connecticut, when I was living in Connecticut, they are considered illegal, but then they loosen them up, and you can sell certain things like sparklers and black cats and some small stuff that didn't shoot up. Now, when I used to go out with my wife's family's from Nebraska, so we used to go out on around 4th of July with the kids when they were young. Mm-hmm. Those people are crazy. They are crazy. We were in this neighborhood. First off, they drive to Missouri because apparently they call the Nebraska fireworks church fireworks because they're so mild. So they're like, no, we can't do these church fireworks. We got to drive down to Missouri. So they drive down to Missouri and they come back. And it was like being in the middle of a war zone in this neighborhood. It was a 4-way intersection. They were out in the street shooting these things. They were going up like 150, 200 feet in the air. It was smoke filled all over the place. It was insane. And then they were lighting off the little lantern things. That was the first time I ever saw those before, which I still can't believe they allow those in places because those seem completely dangerous. It's all of a sudden a fireball just lands in your yard.
Man, I will tell you to your point about them going to Missouri, the reason I always knew New York State fireworks, because if you go over the border to Pennsylvania, literally on the first exit, there's like 3 firework warehouses.
I know exactly.
I'm like, what the hell? And they're open year round.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've gone by that exit before.
Like, how are you staying open year round? It's like having a Christmas store that's open here. Like, you're going to do business for a month, and then the rest of it's like you're just open for what reason? I don't know. It just seems really weird to me. But that shit you're talking about sounds like I'd want like earmuffs or some shit, because that would be nice.
I mean, and they were like letting the little kids light them and everything, and it was just insane. I was like, I kept scooting my lawn chair farther and farther away, closer to the house, so I could like hide behind a bush or something.
Right. And Doug, Wisconsin's one of those states where every stop off the interstate has a fireworks, you know what I mean, temporary, and those things just started popping up. So I think that's part of it, is that like people it's almost like a green light. Once these temporary things start showing up, it's just like, all right, let's light them off. And again,
but the thing is, like the Pennsylvania ones I'm talking about, they're actual brick and mortar stores that are open year round, right? You go in and they're just huge freaking warehouse to your right and another one to your left, and all they sell is fireworks and are open year round. So
right. We got that JHC. That's what we got. Yeah. The son and I noticed one today when we were out. And it was like, oh yeah. Nah, people always want explosives.
Well, Strain is in the deep south, so take that as you will.
Well, I'm in the deep.
The right people want explosives.
This is true. Doug, you going for your second?
Yes, sir. I am going to go with a Scotch ale, since you mentioned it a moment ago.
Another underbrewed style.
Oh, very much so. This one that I've had it before in show, but I love it so much. It's a Scotch ale brewed with coffee, which is not a combination you see very often. Empire is out of Elmira, New York. So,
Doug, you said you had it on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it sounded like you said you had it on a porn show.
I had it on that too.
I believe it.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to make sure you can clear the record for everybody.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Or our Patreon, soon Patreon.
Yeah. So you got the nice color, the Scotch ale color you want. Dirty glass, gang, as always.
Yeah, but the glass is sexy.
It is. It just needs to be clean better.
Well, sexy is clean. Okay.
Depends on what your determination of sexy is. Dirty might be better.
Oh.
Anyhow.
Oh, back to the beer, please.
Hey, you're the one that brought up the porn channel thing, so you get what you pay for, man. Anyway, this is the coffee is really heavy in it, which kind of takes a little bit away of the maltiness of the Scotch ale a little bit, but it's a really good combo. Yeah, I think I have to send you one of these because I think you'd dig it. Yummy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. McKeever, what do you do with the Scotch ales? Do you like them?
I like Scotch ales. And I agree. I also agree. It's a style that's not brewed enough. And yeah, I have never had a coffee one before, but I've had some that are like really heavy and malty that really had that kind of peaty flavor to it. And then I had one down when I go down to North Carolina, a local brewery down there makes one, and it's only like 4.5% alcohol, and it's really sweet and caramelly. And it actually kind of tastes a little bit more like a caramel amber than it does a Scotch ale. But normally Scotch ale, normally not a spring beer for me.
Nope.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. But yeah, I like them, especially when the weather starts getting a little chilly.
Yeah, this one was brewed. Well, I can't read even with my glasses on, so.
That long ago.
Yeah, sorry.
But with those, Doug loves it because I believe that was a beer that you liked early in your craft beer realm, and I think it's because the less needed hops. Hops don't really need. I mean, hops are in it, but hops are not a main ingredient. And the malt, you really need the malt to shine there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes malty beers are someone's in on craft beer because, especially now with everything being hopped out, like all kinds of craziness. Even we got lagers being hopped out, which I love, but it's not for everybody. So yeah, that's why. Am I speaking for you, Doug, or I'll let you speak for yourself?
Well, first, what happened? Wasn't there like a hop crisis a year or two ago that they were talking about that there was an issue with there was so much demand for all these different types of hops especially because of the big IPA craze going on. I haven't heard. I remember hearing about it for a while, and then it disappeared. Maybe someone in the comments knows a little bit better than that. But yeah, hoppy IPAs. I've had Jack's Abbey we've talked about before.
Yes,
make a bunch of hoppy IPAs, which are really nice.
Yes,
I think Joel's referring to my my Scotch ale that's very sweet and caramelly.
Yeah, or maybe he's referring to the fact that the coffee is like pretty heavy-handed on this one, which normally it's a little better balanced one. This one's a little heavier on the coffee.
Pat and penny hops are a problem too. So Kevin, recently, I'm gonna put you on blast here, which is when I do, it's fun, right, Doug? I did it to Doug too. You didn't even know. You recently received, you received accreditation for your goodness. Am I wrong?
Yes, I received right there. I won the humor category for print newspaper columnists from the National Society of Newspaper Columnists the other day. And that's actually the second time I've won before about 6 years ago, but not in the humor category. I won in the general column category. But this was for two pieces that I submitted. Both one was definitely coronavirus related. It was actually shortly after everything kind of shut down. I did a kind of a spoof of a guy who is an extreme couponer, and his ex-wife, his wife who had left him, wants to try to get into his little bunker where he has all the stuff that where he's stored all his stuff from the extreme couponing because he's been because I guess all the stores are going through shortages of toilet paper and soap and everything, and then the other piece was about a Bitcoin scam that my wife got, where we had a terrorist hanging outside our house who was going to blow us up if we didn't give them $10,000 in Bitcoin. And then I kind of did a little bit of a spoof on that with the pandemic, like since obviously they used to go to big corporations, now they were targeting people.
Wait, is that true?
The whole getting the scam, that's what it was. It was a scam. They were trying to get me. So I made like a joke about how like now rather than going after big corporations, I said it's been going on for years with big corporations, but now they're targeting people since they're all working at their house. So now they were like demanding ransom, or they would like like I had the demand would be, my mercenary knows where you keep your baking supplies. Meet our demands, or your yeast is dead. Dead.
Dead, I tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. All right.
And it was nice, especially since the newspaper I worked for let me and our few other columns go at the end of the year. So as I like to say, I got the last laugh on them.
That was a follow up.
How you follow that up?
That's why I asked you to do it. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, I have not had the privilege of having a Bitcoin scam go on me. So yeah, that's
Wow. Okay. Wow.
It reeks of the like Nigerian prince thing.
It was we have somebody posted outside your house. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up and see right. Yeah. We have a hidden device that will be detonated by a hitman who is keeping the area under control if you don't send us your $10,000 in Bitcoin.
The area under
my comment
control.
was that I knew it was immediately a hoax because a bomb, an extortionist, and a hitman, it was pretty excessive for the suburbs. So.
Right. So this is where we can find. I have it here. I need to have it on the banner. This is where we can find Kevin's writings.
Yeah, they took now that they let me go, they took all my stuff it used to be behind the firewall, so no one could ever read it unless they were paying for it. But now everyone can read it, and if everyone who's in here actually goes on and clicks on a couple of the articles, my friend, my editor from there, I talk to him every now and then, and he's like, yeah, every now and then one of your columns comes up in the hit counts, and I get these calls from the web people saying, who's this McKeever guy? Why is he getting hits on this column? And he's like, oh, he was only a columnist for you for 12 years, and his big complaint was that you never promoted him, and now you know why.
All right, guys, you know what we all need to do now. We all need to just go in and go to a link and just keep refreshing it and reloading it. Why does this McKeever guy have 10,000 hits on this 3-year-old article? What is this?
Right. Excellent. The link is down there, and I'm gonna post it on the social media once we get off of this.
Oh, you're a good man.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
The funniest thing about this is, I started working for the paper doing the column for the paper. I won this award from the National Society of Newspaper Columnists the first time, and then within 3 months, my pay got cut. So now I win it. The second time. I win it after I got So basically, that tells you what awards really mean. They mean absolutely nothing except they make you feel nice that somebody else recognized what you did.
Cheers, and for that you should yes.
Yeah, you should be proud of that shit, man. Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. So I have a video that's gonna hit Kevin.
I hope it doesn't literally hit him.
Well, it's gonna hit somebody. Trust me.
Ay, ahora aquí sí hay problemas. Le tiró el bote, señores. Esto se puso caliente en serio. Agarran a los dos. Gutiérrez está.
I love the commentary.
Señores, hay problemas entre estos dos equipos que tendrán que verse las caras mañana. Gutiérrez no lo para nadie en estos momentos.
Creo que es Félix el que va a calmarlo, su paisano.
Increíble. Y bueno, la situación es nada más entre los dos.
Pero sí.
Sí.
Hay aquí una situación. Qué raro en
That guy deserved to get hit. You saw that crappy follow through he had on the swing. The bat went 40 feet to the side of the pitcher.
Hey, whoa.
Que le está dando otro por la sección Junior Ley. Bueno, señores, se formó la tángana aquí.
Sí, durísimo.
La tángana está formada, en serio. Junior Ley no cree en nada.
Kevin, any idea who this is? You ever see him?
I have no idea.
No, señores.
Since I'm trying to read the screen to see.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's probably the Mexican League.
Right. It's some Mexican or yeah.
Los jugadores no están nada. Bueno,
look at these guys still going. They're still going.
Espectáculo bochornoso, sin lugar a dudas. Un equipo de Aguascalientes que pues ha
Who
tenido
was the guy that
problemas.
ran out to the pitcher's mound after he got thrown out and like tried to like drop kick the guy? Do you remember that? Like he tried to like karate kick him with his like spikes. That was like that was years ago, but some guy got thrown at, and then it was in the major leagues, and he ran out and like tried to like kick the guy with his leg, and he had like his spikes on. It was not great.
I don't know. I'm sure it happened. I don't remember that one. I mean, the most famous one was, when Nolan Ryan was still pitching and he threw it and he almost hit Robin Ventura. And Robin Ventura charged the mound, and Nolan Ryan got him in a headlock and just was wailing on him.
So Kevin, you're someone who loves to go to minor league baseball games.
Yes.
Does this shit happen a lot there, or what?
I have never, all the minor league games I have ever been to, I have never seen a fight at a minor league game. Major league game, yes. I've never seen one at a minor league game. I don't know why.
Right. Well, yeah. I don't know. You know how anecdotal evidence works. We see one and then we feel it's all over the place. So
I mean, I saw
that's why I asked it.
One of the last games I saw before the pandemic. I was up watching the Hudson Valley Renegades, which is outside around Poughkeepsie, New York, and the pitcher, the bases were loaded, and it was a tie game. They brought in a relief pitcher, and the guy balked in the winning run. He made some kind of flinch, and he balked in the winning run. And I thought the pitcher was going to charge the umpire, but he must have known that that was so obvious. He just dropped his glove and walked off the field.
So
that's the great thing about baseball. You always think every time you think you've seen it all, something bizarre happens like that. I've never seen anyone. I've seen pitchers hit the guy to force in the winning run. I've seen them walk the guy to win the winning run, the wild pitch to get the winning run. I never saw a pitcher balk the winning run in before.
Did you ever see a triple play to end the game like we just saw this past week with the dreaded Yankees? Fuckers.
Terry, they are up. Those pieces are up on my site, and I will be happy to give you links to them. I'll give them to Greg, and you can post them up. But
I'm sorry, Kevin.
I was gonna say, if you go to my website, which is just do homeanduncool.com, and the story is I've actually got them up right here. One story is from March of 2020. It's called Bitcoin Bomb Scam Explodes on Homefront. And the other one is from March, and it's called Love in the Time of Coronavirus.
I remember that one. I read that one. I missed the Bitcoin bomb, but the other one I read.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about? There you go. That's my pup.
Yep.
Drinking beer, how appropriate.
The booze hound. Ha! Sorry, folks. So click the links, folks.
Yeah, I'm actually like 40 cents away from finally hitting the $100 mark on Google, so I can finally get a freaking check from them for those Google ads.
Really, I don't even know how any of that works. So,
there was 1 year back when blogging was big, and I had a couple things that went really well, and I think I got $200 checks from Google in the same year.
Wow!
And that was like 2009. So I've been just going up like a few cents at a time, and I noticed the other day that I'm like at $99.46 or something.
I didn't even know you could get money for Google for that. So that's how.
I mean, ad rates are so horrible these days, unless you have like a huge mega site. But it's not. Back in the heyday of blogging, people would get could make decent money on banner ads and stuff. But banner ads you don't get anything these days. So In fact, I'm waiting to get the $100 just so I can take the ads off the thing. I'm like, I've gone this long. I want $100.
Yeah, it reminds me of like having like the with the blogging, like where that was going really well, and then it's almost like the .com bubble. Like it's all of a sudden it's like shift to video, and then everything just kind of went to the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When I did Twitter for a while, and I still have a Twitter account, and there I go on once in a while, but it just, it's a big time suck to me. And it's just there's so much static, so much noise out there now on Twitter. And then I'm not a good photographer. I don't like doing, I've done videos before and I have fun editing the videos. I don't like doing the performing in the videos and any of that stuff. So yeah, sadly writing is what I do, and it's just not a moneymaker these days. Exactly, Darren. Video did kill the blogger star. Twitter did first, but then video did.
So I would like to nominate a different app for a time suck. Now I like Twitter. I'm on there a lot. Nothing's more of a time suck than fucking TikTok. That thing, like I started because my kids are on it, so I want to kind of see what's going on, and my wife's on it a lot, and so I go and I'm not like, and I swear you could just sit there and just be like, and it's just all quick hits. It's quick dopamine hits. This thing's funny, blah, 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 blah. And then before you know it, it's like an hour just flew by in your life that you will never get back.
Yeah, I see the TikTok stuff, like when I'm going through on my phone or something, and they go on to Facebook or to something else, and I see the TikToks. My daughter was here the other day, and we were talking to her about something, and somehow we started talking something. She was watching some, or my wife was watching a TikTok video. I don't know why. And we said something to her, and we asked my daughter, I'm like, oh, you have a TikTok account, don't you? You still, she's like, oh, no, I dropped it. Like, why did you drop it? She's like, it's just so addictive. She's like, I would just spend, it's exactly what you said. I would just sit there, and before I knew it, an hour had gone by, and all I was doing was watching dance videos and other goofy things.
I'm going to tell you,
do that. God bless them. You can do that, and you can get an audience, and if you're lucky enough, you can make money at it. Good for you. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I go on there and
I'm
honestly,
I'm older than you, Doug.
Yeah, not by a lot, but like it's one of those things. Like so, like you can, like most things, you can curate it to kind of speak to what you want. If you want to make it educational, if you want to do this, that, and the other thing. And I just go on there, just give me the dumb, idiotic, funny stuff. That's what I want. I don't want to think. If I'm on there, I'm not there to learn stuff, as bad as that sounds. I invest a lot of time in podcasts and reading to try to educate myself on stuff. If I'm going to load up TikTok, just give me all the dumb shit. That's all I want to see.
So everyone on this stream and everyone in this chat space are all officially too old for TikTok. So hold on.
We made the right move. We've all made the right move.
Hold on. Does it mean? Wait, hold on, Jeff. Does it mean that we're too old to consume the TikToks, or we're just too old to like post? Where are we too old? And Doug, what do you got for that?
I think he means posting. Because honestly, there's a whole bunch of silly stuff. There's people our age on there, and some of the stuff is like super clever. It's really fun. And then like all of a sudden you look out and you're like, oh, I loaded this up at 9 p.m. It's 10:30. What am I doing?
What exactly is the age
tell that to do that
for doing stuff on TikTok? That's what
all of it just
yeah, Jeff.
One day you will be too tapped.
Yeah.
I know guys in a gay TikTok space that say absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you go into gay TikTok. That shit's hilarious.
There's a gay TikTok space?
The gay TikTok space? Wow.
Dude, there's TikTok space for everything. There's gay, like Joe follows like pottery TikTok, and like there's all kinds of different things that are just little niches that you can go in and you get to see a bunch of information on it, or it's just whatever.
Okay, so are all you people happy that you're giving all your personal information to the Chinese government?
Dude, everything on our phone is given to our government and every other freaking government that has an office that's in that country.
That's when. Well, this is what when I ask my teenage boys, A, are you on TikTok? They say no. I say, B, do you want to be on TikTok? They say no. And I say, why don't you want to be on TikTok? And they say because of the Chinese government and they don't want to give their information. This is what my teenage kids. I don't. Again, that's just my anecdotal evidence, but I thought it was interesting that they cited this whole China thing, and I was just like, I'm just going to leave it go because you don't want to be on TikTok, and I'm actually happy because that means that then I don't have to be on TikTok like you, Doug. Like, you know what I mean? If your kids are on it, in my opinion, and they are of age where I don't know if you listen, if your kids are on it, Jeff, then I don't know if any age you don't want to be at least connected with that, even if they're like 20 or 30 some. I'm gonna still kind of want to know what my kids posting, right? Or no?
I think it depends. Like for me anyway, like my oldest is on TikTok, but my oldest is freaking they'll be 20 years old here in a month.
Right.
So like I don't need to monitor him. He's an adult.
No, but it's not. But sometimes it's listen, right, and that's my point. Like once they become adults, you're not monitoring them, but don't you still, as an adult? See, as an adult, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna want to at least know what they're doing on social media, not as a monitoring thing, just more as a. They're my kids. I want to know.
You want to know what's going on in their life because
right.
They don't tell you everything that goes on in their life.
Right. So, Doug, is there ever going to be a point to where because you're like, well, he's 20, or well, they're 20. So then I, as a parent, need to be on it. So if they're 30, will you stop, or what?
No,
is there a point for you, or what?
Well, I also think this also speaks to the idea of being able to communicate with your kids. Your kids aren't going to tell you everything. That's what kids do. That's what you did to your parents. That's what your parents did to their parents, et cetera.
And they're going to do, and their kids are going to do to them, and all that, right?
Exactly. So, I think if you're able to set a baseline of, hey, what's going on, and your kids actually feel comfortable talking to you, I don't think if they're an adult, you don't need to know everything. You don't. Once they're an adult, they get to make choices with who they are and what they do. Now they're going to fuck up because we all fuck up, and then you're just there. That was a little bit bigger than just talking about TikTok, but that's just kind of how I see it.
Right. So at some point, you're not going to follow them on TikTok, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. I'll have too much other shit to do to worry about what they're watching on TikTok.
Kevin, where are you at on this? Kevin, where are you at on this?
I was going to say, Doug's going to stop following them when they hit that magical age where they're too old to be on TikTok anyway, so he knows they shouldn't be on there, so he's not going to stop.
Oh, he's gonna consult with Jeff, and Jeff's going to tell him, right? Got it.
I don't listen.
That's an interesting question because my kids, are 20. My daughter's 21. My son is 19, and they're not big social media people. They all have. My son has a Twitter account, never uses it. Has a Facebook account, never uses it. He's got an Instagram account. He doesn't post stuff on it. He goes on and he looks at stuff, but he's not active with posting things. My daughter has a personal Instagram, but then she also has one because she's a bit of a foodie. So she has one. What's it called? Chef.megan in the kitchen. So when she cooks stuff, she was going through a cookbook, a couple cookbooks, and she was making things. So she was taking photos of them and putting them on Instagram. But they're not big social. It's interesting. They're not big social media people. They talk to their friends on. They text them all the time. Mm-hmm. They do
Discord,
Snapchat, and stuff, and all that stuff. But in terms of they'll look at social media, they consume it, but they're not active participants in it.
That's interesting. I think that's not uncommon because I think a lot of kids view like social media as like old people stuff. Like Facebook, like our kids are like, I'm only on Facebook because I have to be like our oldest was like needed to be for college when he was applying for college.
Yeah, for school and stuff.
Whereas like two of our kids from my kids from my first marriage, they're barely on social media at all, and they're 16 and 14. And what they do use all the time is Discord servers, which I ironically saw a thing on TikTok where this person was talking about, why don't you, like a millennial talking to an older, like not a boomer, but like a Gen X person like me. And they're like, yes, I am. Thank you for reminding me. But it was funny because they're like, oh, just join my Discord server. And they're like, well, what's Discord? And they're like, well, you just go in, you log in, we all talk, blah, 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 blah. oh, so it's like a chat room, and they're like, what's a chat room? Like it's literally the same thing. It's just
It's the
different
same thing
naming
as a
convention. Just a different naming convention. That's all.
Well, that's like, isn't that like the same thing with all these, like, I don't even know what they are anymore. I'm so glad in this whole pandemic, I did minimal Zoom calls. My wife is on them all the time for work, but I was never, but there's like, I don't know what the heck are they? Like they have rooms on Facebook or something and all this stuff. I'm like, they're all the same thing. They're all like essentially chat rooms with video or chat rooms with just new names and slightly different configurations.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing like Zooms and WebExes to work, and now we're doing Microsoft Teams. They're all the same thing. They're all the exact same thing.
Bring back bulletin boards. Remember bulletin boards?
Yes, I do. Again, we're old, Kevin, so let's keep that in mind.
New beer alert.
Oh, what is that one? What is that one?
This I bought just for Greg.
Oh.
This is it's from the 603 Brewery, which is a New Hampshire brewery, which is actually one of the first breweries I ever went to when I moved up here. And it's a coffee cake porter.
Ooh. That sounds interesting.
Rich roasted notes are highlighted by cinnamon and aged over coffee and vanilla beans to create a smooth, aromatic porter.
Yes.
Aromatic porter.
Aromatic.
Yes.
7.5% alcohol. So.
Oh man.
Ooh, you can definitely smell cinnamon and a bit of vanilla.
Ooh, cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon's tricky though.
It is fucking tricky. Yes.
So how is that one?
It's not. It's pretty good. The cinnamon and vanilla, because I have a problem with coffee beers because they always sound great to me, and then they're just always overwhelmingly coffee flavored. This has a nice the cinnamon and the vanilla do a nice job of like they kind of mix well with it, and they kind of balance out the coffee, so it's not super heavy coffee. That's pretty good. You do actually kind of get almost a coffee cake kind of feel to it.
See, that sounds
that sounds really good.
Yeah, this was one of the I said this was one of the first breweries when we moved up here. This was one of the first places because it had a big outdoor patio, and they're maybe like 15, 20 minutes north of us. So
a coffee cake porter.
Coffee cake porter.
That is the first.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to say this, and I'm gonna say it now, Doug, is because part of my charity beer idea is to get people to brew my recipe, Daddy's Porter, but to take it to a different variant, and to be able to do that if you want to do it during like different times of the year. So I made an example, and I'm going to continue to make this example, which is a peppermint porter. For the record, I fucking hate peppermint. Okay, so
yes,
I don't like it at all. But I think right. But during Christmas, that is something that we can push, or that is something that is more. My point is that like porters, I live in a world where I don't believe porters are stouts, which everybody else believes. So I don't believe that you can just throw cocoa nibs and fucking coconut in a porter and it's going to work like it does with a stout. A stout is a bigger beer and it's roastier generally, and I'm not sure about the malt balance, even though I should be. My point is that people throw a whole bunch of shit in the fucking stouts, and it's cool. They throw blueberries, cocoa nibs. Hell, we'll throw 6 fucking different ingredients. I just don't think a porter, being as thin as it can be sometimes, is that beer style that you throw adjuncts at it like a stout you can. And everybody's like, porters and stouts are the same, and everybody's going to always argue. And I'm probably going to get blown up in the comments for it. Whatever. The point is that I think of porters as a thinner, lighter, more drinkable beer than a stout is. I'm not saying stouts aren't drinkable. I'm just saying there's only so much you can take of that big, heavy presentation that a stout brings sometimes. So when Kevin brings on a beer that says coconut, or I'm sorry, coffee, what was it again?
It was cinnamon
coffee cake.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say coffee cake, you have coffee here, but the cake thing brings different elements. It brings it brings a cinnamon. It brings that little more sweetness. Like a coffee cake has that sweetness that we're looking for. It brings depth of flavor. And if Kevin is saying that shit's pulling it off with a couple different ingredients going on, I'm just really, really happy to see that. As far as someone who's going to be eventually putting out a beer that I want brewers to take and kind of run with on their own a little bit.
I wonder why you didn't go with like a Christmas variant where you added like honey and cherries.
Why not?
Because there's already one crappy beer brewed with honey and cherries. We didn't need another one.
Sorry, that was snuck in my Mad Elf reference there. So.
No. We couldn't have Kevin on and not jab him a little bit about his love of cherry beers, especially.
Yes. Please,
have you ever had a beer that had? Yeah. Have you ever had a beer with cherry in it that you liked?
I thought he answered this before. We asked him this before,
and I couldn't remember what his answer was. And I'm
I'm pretty sure.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one specifically.
Kevin, do you like a creek? Creek is it's a sour beer made from cherries.
Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm not big. I'm not big on the sours. I mean, I'll have a sour every now and then. It's not a style that I go for a lot. But like, if I get a flight and there's a sour on it, they have a sour, I'll usually get one to try it.
Because I absolutely hate cherries and I love creek beers. So
okay, I'll keep an eye out for them. Next time.
I absolutely hate cherry. I don't like it at all. This is the truth. I just don't. And blow me up in the comments. Whatever, it's fine.
That's why you want to get along with it. I hate cherry too. It's just not a flavor that's good that has good connotations to me.
No, and I don't know about Mad Elf. I'm on the fence with Mad Elf. We already know. Look at the Mad Elf. Google them. Kevin is not.
Yeah, I agree. When we did it last year, because for whatever reason that batch did not seem to be as heavy as cherry strong as the one we had the year before and the one that I had tried years before that. So yeah, see exactly. Jeff agrees with me. Cherry beers too often have a cough medicine vibe. Exactly. That is my problem with them.
There are some that are, for sure. There are some that are.
With them. They always remind me of cough syrup when I was a kid.
Blow up Greg Hour. Wasn't there a cherry triple or something that we had, Doug, or somebody had that was really good or something? Like
it depends on the cherries too, because if you get like sour or tart cherries, it's a different flavor than like the sweeter cherries. So yeah.
Well, why I actually want to argue with Jeff on this. I can't. I want to say that like there's more, but it feels like it's just cherry's so delicate. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just one of those where you can just overdo it, like coconut and cinnamon is coffee. Well, remember cinnamon? When Kevin said cinnamon, both you and I cringed, Doug.
We're like, woo!
Right?
Yeah, so, no, I've had like, who is it? Is it Harpoon makes it? Their winter warmer has cinnamon. It's cinnamon and something else, and it always sounds really good. And every time I have one, I'm like, why did I buy this?
Yeah, it's cinnamon nutmeg. Cinnamon and nutmeg. They throw that together.
It's a really good idea, and it does not come through.
There is a beer that is a cherry beer that if you can find it, Bell's makes it, and it's made with Michigan cherries, and it's called Poolside.
Okay.
Poolside something rather.
Poolside's a good beer,
and that's a good beer.
Everybody cherry beer has been completely by accident.
Yeah, so that one
closely.
It's a summer type beer with just a slight cherry flavor to it. It's not like most places, cherries, like you're just going to freaking wallop you. That's not like that. It's just a nice hint of cherry flavor in that. Have you had that one, Greg, from Bell's?
Yeah, it's a nice beer. Yeah. Cheers. Yes, absolutely. And let's get Brian on here. Too funny. Cherry season is now. Y'all bet me off of one of the best fruits.
Why is it the best fruit? Why is it has pits in it. It has pits, so you have to spit out the pits. That automatically eliminates it from the best fruit category.
How do you feel about
I don't want to work when I'm eating my fruit.
All right, I have two questions on that.
Or the orange, that's as far as we got.
So
yeah,
Daniel Fisher loves Poolside. Poolside's a good beer. Yes, love it.
I have seen Poolside before. I will, as a favor to you, Doug, I will try it out.
Yeah, I would be curious to see if you actually enjoy it, because it's a really light beer. It's a good summer beer.
Okay.
But like I said, the cherries are not like very overwhelming at all. It doesn't even like taint the color of it. It's just looks like a good summer beer.
Speaking of fruit, so what is going to be the fruit that that everybody throws into IPAs this year? Because we went through the phase where it was like, what was it? It was like everyone was doing grapefruit, and then it was pineapple, and then it was orange, and then it was mango. So maybe it's time for cherry IPAs to come out, because they have.
Maybe I'm not sure that the hops work well with that. But yeah, did you see that Manny also likes Poolside ale, and so
Manny needs to get his glucose checked, because I've seen beers that Manny drinks, and it really frightens me as to what his glucose levels are.
Yeah, his thong game is strong though, apparently. So, oh man, hey, I'm gonna open my third one, by the way, and this one I've been saving because it's my favorite beer, and it's a variant of it. So, which I always buy their variants, and it's the latest Dragon's Milk variant.
All right.
This one is if I can get it to the camera right, double bourbon barrel aged stout with Madagascar and Indonesian vanilla beans. So it's aged in 2 different bourbon barrels. Let's see if I can figure out which ones it says it. Yeah, it doesn't say which bourbon barrels it was aged in, just 2 different ones. So,
now, have you ever had a beer that was aged in gin barrels? I've seen a couple of them. How are they? I like gin, but for whatever reason, I've never bought one.
If it's a dark beer, no.
Okay.
The gin characteristics do not lend itself to dark beer. If it's a lighter beer, I had a gin barrel aged wheat beer once that was super good. Like, it was one of the better beers. It was at a beer festival. And I saw it, and I'm like, well, I've never had anything barrel aged in gin barrels. So I tried it, and it was a wheat beer, and it was superb. It was the best thing I had that day. So, yeah. I don't think with dark beers that gin goes well because of the
that doesn't make any sense. I know I think I've seen Saisons done in gin barrels.
Yeah, that would work, I think. But I've had like Dragon's Milk did a variant that was aged in rum barrels. That was excellent, but that's a dark beer, so the rum's going to play well with that. But gin is that's its own little beast. It's really I love gin too, but I think it has to be a lighter beer if you're going to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. God damn it.
Is it more bourbon or more vanilla?
No, it's like perfectly balanced, because you get the booziness, but you know how sometimes you get the bourbon barrel aged and it's just like, all right, here's the booze. And that's what you get to the whole thing. And you get the booze flavor in the front, and then the vanilla and the vanilla comes in, and then the chocolate ends. And the bourbon's just a nice note on it throughout. And man, they do everything fucking right. Like, except the only one I've ever had of their variants that I hated, and hate is a strong word, but the one I disliked. You know what it is, Greg? You know what it is, right?
Not offhand, no.
It's a hibiscus one they made.
That
was not great. But man, so good.
I can't see how a hibiscus would work in that style of beer.
They tried it and it didn't work.
Like totally overpowered.
Here is the time of the show that I humble brag that I was in the Dragon's Milk cave.
The cave?
Yes.
The cave where all the barrels of the Dragon's Milk is held. And I love to tell the story. Doug loves when I tell it.
I love it because I'm jealous.
I asked the guys there, like, how the fuck, and I almost said it. I said it in those terms. I almost said that. How the fuck do you guys come up with these horribly sounding variants that end up delicious all the time. And they're just like, we test, sir. We test a lot. What's the answer? We have panels, and they go through again. How do you make an orange creamsicle with like?
That was orange chocolate.
I don't even fucking know.
Ooh,
Like,
that's
it's every fucking one works. It doesn't matter. Like everyone but the one that Doug like works.
Orange chocolate is about the only orange beer that actually works. I had so many orange beers that are terrible.
Yeah, there was one I had recently that was decent. It was not great, but like usually that shit, like you said, Kevin, that's actually a fruit that doesn't go well in most beers.
I think the problem, I know when you're like mixing, when you're making cocktails, the problem with orange, like if orange juice, it's something that with the bitterness and the acidity in it doesn't seem to work. And I don't know if it's me but every time I see an orange beer, I think orange, like a sweet orange, like orange juice sweet. And it always tends to be more orange peel orange. You get the bitterness off of it. And I mean, like, what was it? Sierra Nevada did the sidecar stuff and everything was terrible. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but I know there's been very, very few orange beers that I've ever had that are good. It's the same thing. Just for some reason, it doesn't. Same thing with pineapple and IPAs. Because sometimes, you ever known if you ever cut a pineapple or opened a can of canned pineapple and left it in the refrigerator for a couple days, that it breaks down and the gas comes out of it and it's bitter. And I have found that that's a big problem with when pineapple IPAs were a big thing for a while. Is that I got so many of them that were just like that really bad, overripe, overexposed pineapple that had too much oxidation in it.
Yep.
Yeah. What about versus like say blood orange, which tastes like fucking grapefruit to me, so I don't ever eat them.
Yeah, no, you're right. I've had a couple. I have had a blood orange. A couple blood orange. I know Jack's Abbey makes the blood orange wheat, which is okay. I think I did have one beer that was blood orange that was good, and I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
A lot of this comes down to ingredients, clearly, and I think what happens is some of these purees ruin a beer, and I think sometimes when you are trying to impart, whether it be pineapple or orange, and you can't do it with your hops, you have to use puree. We're just in a bad situation generally. I'm not sure about. I don't know. I kind of want my fruit flavors to come from my hops and not from a puree. But if you're trying to make a big ass beer, I don't know.
Well, we just had our guest last week talk about dumping a raspberry puree from like an upper level, and it was like the grossest thing they ever put.
I was gonna say, how did that work out?
They were like, it was the one. So Kevin, I don't know if you saw last week, we had brewers from Venture on, and they made a raspberry donut, something or other, and it was like they dumped a whole. They said
they shouldn't have been doing it,
and they said they dumped a human size worth of raspberry puree into it, and I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard that as a unit of measurement. But and they said so their tanks were like here, but they have a second level, and they just ran basically like a tube to drop it down, and they were like, the one guy was like, it was the grossest thing I ever saw,
ever seen in my whole life. Right. So let's speak to this point quick. Lauren says, Dragon's Milk is so solid. Haven't got my hands on many variants, but they're always sound so good. So Lauren, hate to tell you, you're not going to get your hands on many variants because the variants, as like they only get out of Michigan, like they barely get out of Michigan, in my opinion.
Yep.
Some of them do. Doug's in New York. I'm in Wisconsin, and I see probably again. We got to go back to pre-pandemic. I probably see as many variants as Doug, and I don't see that many, and they go fast. So, like, if they're in on Friday, you better be there by Monday, or you're not getting it.
Yep.
Doug, what do you see?
Well, I will say it depends on distribution because there was a variant they did last year that was a Scotch barrel variant, and I was like dying to get my hands on it because I'm a big Scotch fan. They didn't distribute it to New York. That was one day for some reason they just didn't distribute it here, and I was so disappointed. And the problem is there's like this secondary market that you can go buy beers on. My brother-in-law does that. I'm not paying fucking $50 for a bottle of Dragon's Milk. I'm not doing that. Like,
and Lauren is out in California. So how many are making it out there? None. Zero.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on where you are in California too. If you're in a bigger market, you might get some, but you're not going to get a lot.
You're not getting shit. Like, with all due respect, you're getting, again, I think the further you go from Michigan, the less, like, listen, JHG says they made it this far, Virginia. Right. But how much? And, like, what variants? Like, again, like, the really, really good ones, in my opinion, stay close, and the locals get them, and then they just distribute it out as far. Like, I just don't think it reaches that far out of the Midwest, any of the variants, really. I just don't.
How about you, Kevin? Do you see a lot of the do you see Dragon's Milk up there? And do you see many variants?
I see Dragon's Milk, and every now and then there's some. I mean, there's the standard one, and there's a couple other ones that come out every now and then, but it's not very often.
Oh, milk cookie.
Yeah, I have one of those in my cellar fridge. I have one of those orange chocolate ones from 2 years ago in my cellar fridge too.
Oh man, maybe I did have I know I had one oatmeal cookie beer once, and it was super good. It might have been Dragon's Milk.
Reminds me of very much so, Doug, your boy's Southern Tier. Again, you know what I mean? Like, you can get some of their shit, but as far as the further you get from their brewery, the less chance you got at any of those wonderful, fabulous variants that you sent me.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, because I follow them on Instagram, they actually just opened another place in Buffalo. So they have one, and they have one in that fucking out of the middle of nowhere place in New York State. They have one in Buffalo, and then they have one in Pittsburgh, I believe. So,
damn, I haven't had this oatmeal cookie. You guys have had this?
Yeah,
I have one in my fridge.
I'll have to look. While we're sitting here, I'll look on Untappd. I know I had one oatmeal cookie beer once, a few years ago, and it was like great. So maybe that was it, because I don't see oatmeal cookie beers very often.
Yep. Lauren, I agree. That's how Pliny the Younger is. I mean, a different. They brew. First of all, they only brew a certain amount of Pliny, and then they brew a bunch. They brew year round of Dragon's Milk. I confirm that they do, and then they do their variants year round. Again, the problem with the variants are just like the problem with my seasonal beer here, which is Idiot Farm. Idiot Farm gets brewed fast and quick, and it's done. Like, they may throw something in a barrel and be like, "Oh, it's a barrel of Idiot Farm on gin." But, like, that's it, though. Once Idiot Farm hits, it's over. And I think that's what they do with a lot of the variants, which is they rotate them, and then once they hit, it's over. And if you get it, you get it. And that's kind of how Pliny is. So I would compare Pliny to kind of one of their variants, which is, I don't know.
I did not have the Dragon's Milk oatmeal cookie. I had the Cigar City oatmeal raisin cookie.
Oh.
I've had that one, too.
That's a brown ale. Yep. And I gave it 4.5 stars.
Wow.
I know. I remember having one that I really liked because it's so weird that I saw an oatmeal cookie here.
Or go, Doug.
I have one too that was made this past year from Dewclaw out of Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
They made it. That's one of their patriarchy beers that they made. That was like, it was an oatmeal raisin. I don't think it was just an oatmeal cookie. I don't think it was an oatmeal raisin cookie. I think it was an oatmeal cookie like with cream, kind of. So that's lactose. But yeah. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No worries. Kevin, I'm really impressed that you were impressed with that oatmeal cookie because you said it's a brown ale. So again, in order to add all those flavors to a base beer that's a brown ale, as opposed to a stout, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, they call it a stout for a reason because it's fucking stout.
Yeah.
So like, right. Whereas
it's got a thicker mouthfeel.
Right.
A lot of stuff.
Right. You can throw a lot of shit at it. Whereas a brown ale, you're almost fucking with the whole balance.
Yep.
if you do too much adjuncts. So the fact that Cigar City pulled that shit off makes me want it even more. I wonder.
Cigar City distributing everywhere now, so
yeah, they signed on with someone. I don't think they sold out. I think they joined a bunch of other crap brewers. I think.
Yeah, distributorship.
Yeah, I don't know. Daniel Fisher or Jerry will be able to tell us for sure. But yeah. So, but again, I'm just impressed that they actually again pulled that off for you because you are this. Is discernible the word I'm looking for, Doug?
He is a man of discerning taste. Yes.
Okay, right. So not any level of like bullshit that's gonna fly on Kevin McKeever. So we can always laugh at him about his cherry thing and all that. But at the same day, I respect your taste in craft beer. It may not be the same as mine, but you at least have a reformed palate and you are looking for good beers and you're very willing to call out the ones that you think suck. And I think that's part of it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right though. Having like a brown ale be like a something throwing adjuncts in. Like brown ale is like a really hard thing to fuck with. It's like here's your brown ale. That's what it.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it was a brown. Like I said, I remember buying it and I'm going like, wow, this is really good. I've never had this before. And then I was kind of surprised to see that when I looked at what am I, and I use Untappd basically just to record, just so I can remember stuff that I've had to see whether I've liked it or not if I come up against it again. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it was a brown ale because that makes it even a little odder.
Joel says, what if they sold out if you like? It's not. The reason why I said sold out, or the reason why I brought that up, is because brewers that quote either sell out or get with a conglomerate generally can broaden their distribution, especially craft beer places. We know craft beer places as places that generally don't distribute because they don't have the mass quantity to be able to do that, and or to be able to do it and keep the quality, Joel. That's what we're all about, and you already know, Joel, it's about keeping the quality. If you can keep the quality of the beer up like a again, I'm probably gonna get hit in the comments. Man, I'm all kinds of all over the place tonight. With Goose Island, they're able to keep their quality up on their bourbon barrel beers. So again, and people love them, and the quality of them, even by craft beer people standards, are still really high. They sold out and they're able to distribute, and it's fine. But I just wanted to make that disclaimer because again, sometimes you can't distribute as a smaller brewer, and then there's scale up things and all that.
Yeah,
craft beer does not equal quality.
It's funny.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
It's not a fair point. I'm sorry. It's beyond a fair point. It's pretty damn valid.
Yeah, just because you bring up Goose Island, because
right.
Things like I used to go out to Chicago, like with my daughter has an autoimmune disease, so we used to fly out to her specialist in Chicago like every 3-4 months. So we'd usually go and like spend the weekend out there and come back. And yeah, I mean, I remember getting into Goose Island Honker's Ale, and I was like, I'm like, wow, this is a great beer. It's an ESB. Like you never find ESBs anywhere.
Yep.
And then they got bought by InBev, and I think I found Honkers when they started distributing. They went very heavy on the IPA, and every now and then I'd find like a 12-pack of Honkers Ale, and it was a little off from what I remembered. And now you can't find it anywhere because I don't think I'm not sure they distribute it much outside of Chicago. I thought I read an article the other day that it's basically only on tap in their Chicago brewery nowadays.
Huh.
Which is terrible because that was like their original flagship IPA. Their original flagship beer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ESBs, or I think it might have been on the Daddy Porter page you guys were talking about. ESBs are a style that is just not around anymore, and it's a really nice, great sessionable drinking beer.
Yep.
And I mean, Red Hook used to make a really nice ESB, and I never see that anymore.
Yeah.
I use Honker's Ale. There were a couple other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. It's so rare to find an ESB anymore.
Yeah, that shit's not. It's again, that's another. I guess Greg, like you said, with this underbrewed style, like just something where it's like, I'd like to see more of those, and seeing things like, I don't know, you got your extra stout bitters, you got like things that are just more of your sort of classic, even like, especially if you see your classic England style pub beers. There's not a whole boatload of those, like because they're just not. The problem is they're low ABV, so it's like a lot of them are like, well, why would I invest that when I could invest money in making a 7% IPA? Well,
but flavorful low ABVs are the big thing now. That's supposed to be the up and coming thing. Speaking of which, I don't know if Matt Strain's still on anymore, but now that the things with the pandemic have kind of tapered off some, especially up here in Massachusetts. So I've been trying to reform my pandemic drinking ways a little bit. So I've been hitting some of the NAs more. The Sam Adams Just the Haze, non-alcoholic that they have, is when you can't tell. It's like the closest thing I've ever had to having a regular, a non-alcoholic taste like a regular beer. It's better than Athletic. And I thought Athletic did the best.
Hey, now be careful. Matt Strain is a brand ambassador for them. He might have some words.
I mean, it doesn't have the. It doesn't. I've always found that non-alcoholic beers, there's like this. It's like this kind of. I call it like a kind of metallic tang at the end of it.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and it's like they're all of them. I mean, even with Athletic, with maybe the exception of the stout, because I think their stout, the non-athletic stout, is excellent. But my thing with the stout is like it's 110 calories. I'll just have a Guinness. I can have 4 more ounces, and it's the same amount of calories, and it's only like 4% alcohol. So yeah. Yeah, I was like, I had heard a bunch of really good things about the Sam Adams one. And I found it in the in one of the package stores up here the other day, and I had it. I'm like, wow, I was shocked. I took my wife because she was like, every time I've had one of these non-alcoholic beers, I've had the Lagunitas, I've had the Brooklyn Lager. I had something called Silver Carpenter, which was horrible. It was supposed to be a Belgian white. It was terrible. I always make her try them. And this was the first one that she had tried. She's like, "Casey, what beer is this?" And I'm like, it's a non-alcoholic beer. And she's like, I had no idea. I'm like, I didn't either. If I didn't know when I bought it.
Yeah, if you can get somebody who's not like a regular beer drinker say that it tastes like beer, then that's a pretty good sign, I think. Yeah,
no, Jonathan, I'm serious. I just tried that Athletic Freeway, which is their hazy IPA, and it's the same thing. It's okay. But it's got that same thing. It's got that metallic tang at the end that you can tell it's not. It's a non-alcoholic beer. But definitely, the Sam Adams Just the Haze. I was like shocked at how good it was. My thing is when you have a non-alcoholic beer, it's like one of those beers you have to have it ice cold and you drink it straight out of the bottle or the can, because you pour it in a glass and you get that and you smell it and that tang is even more pronounced. But Just the Haze is the one beer you can actually pour in a glass and say, I don't know. To me, it tastes very similar to the we used to be the Sam 76, which I guess is now the Wicked. Yeah, it's like the Wicked. Yeah, it's kind of like a cross between the Wicked Easy and the Summer Ale, probably. Doesn't have quite the lemon that the Summer Ale does.
Right. Yep. So want to get back to this real quick. Joel says craft beer doesn't equal quality. I agree with him. I've drank enough to know that. Yes, I have. And actually, one point I do want to make, Joel, is that I've said it a bunch of times, but I need to say it again because people haven't heard me. When I went to Home Brew Con in Minneapolis, they have the night where they bring in the professional brewers. Dangerous Man, Indeed, all of them were there. The next night they bring in all of the home brewers. All the home brewers who from across the country come in, especially the ones that are presenting or trying to win contests are there. The home brewers blew away the professional brewers. Period. And I've said that every time anybody asks me, and anytime I get to talk about HomebrewCon in Minneapolis. And I'm talking about, again, Dangerous Man, Indeed, name them. They were there. Inbound, Surly, the new one wasn't there. I forget the new one. But my point is that was when I knew that there was a really thin line between home brewers and craft beer brewers. And especially with the pandemic kind of cutting the end off a lot of these, with all due respect, crappy brewers, I think we're going to see a better product out of craft brewers coming out of the pandemic. Or maybe I'm just being hopeful. But Joel, I just want to make sure you know that I hear your point. And my point about Cigar City really wasn't about them being a craft beer or not. It was just more about distribution. I question when small brewers go big distribution, because how do you scale that up? And when you scale it up, do you lose quality? And we've seen a bunch of times where people try to scale up and the quality of their beer does not follow. I don't know if any of you guys want to jump off on what I just said.
No, you're right. I mean, I remember I've had Cigar City since now they've become more mass distributed, and I've not noticed any kind of drop off because I loved the Highlight IPA when I first had it, and and I had it down in Florida and I had it down in North Carolina, and I've not noticed any difference in it the couple times I had it up here. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, as opposed to what I just said with Goose Island. I mean, the couple times that I managed to find Honker's Ale after InBev bought them in the store, I'm like, this is not the same beer that I had when I was in Chicago.
Yep.
And I know I had enough of those in Chicago.
Yep. Hey, I think though a lot of times what the bigger things are doing now, they got wise to the idea of like, if you buy this little company, let's say little, whatever, but you know what I mean? Like if you're buying this quote unquote microbrewery, you'd be wise to just let them keep doing what they're doing if they have a good following and let them just make their shit. You just distribute it bigger.
Exactly.
And if you can do that and keep the quality, that's important. But like, I think early on when they would buy stuff, they'd be like, hey, you know what? No, we're the big guns. You're the little guy. Just here, do this. And I think that's where a lot of the quality drops. Doesn't mean it doesn't still happen when people are trying to push, okay, now we have this huge distribution network. How do we meet that? We don't have a system that can handle all that. Okay, then you might run into where the quality drops off. But I think I've seen recently in the past year or two where it's like you get bought out by a big company and your quality doesn't suffer because they're not trying to overextend you to distribute. Now, I could be completely wrong. That's just the experience with the few that I've run into. So I don't know. I think what you're making a completely valid point. I mean, I was drinking Sam Adams when Sam Adams first came out, when it was a regional beer only, and we could get it up in Connecticut. Mm-hmm.
And okay, they're like what, the fourth, fifth biggest brewer, but they're still considered craft beer. But you know what? A Boston's lager today tastes pretty much like a Boston lager tasted when I first had one back in like 1986.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no change, and just because it's bigger, they haven't, the formula hasn't changed. It's the same beer they're making back in 86. I can't tell you the difference between that, anything different between the two of them.
I'm curious though if you look at something like, and I'm going to use Mad Alpha as an example because the recipe changed. The recipe is the same, but it tastes different every year.
Right. Yeah. Is
there more value in that, or is there more value in having almost a McDonald's approach to beer, like where it's
I guess it's kind of a personal thing. Do you value variety over consistency? I mean, if you drink a beer and we'll use the McDonald's thing. I had this hamburger. I love this hamburger. This is the hamburger I want every time I come in here. Or you're like, this is a really good hamburger, but tomorrow maybe I want to mix a little bit of pork in with the ground beef. I want a little different flavor, with that, it's a personal thing. But I think consistency is a big thing. I mean, is a very legitimate point to make about the quality of a beer. I mean, it's different with Mad Elf because Mad Elf is a seasonal beer, so you can see that. Sure. Year to year, it's going to be different because they might tweak the recipe a little bit, or something happens and they've gotten new brewing equipment or something, and it's not, it doesn't have the same seasoning or whatever that the other stuff has had, But if you're making a flagship beer and if it tastes the same in 1990 as it does in 2020, I mean, I guess you're doing a pretty good job, especially if people are buying it.
Yeah. What do you think, Greg? Are you more of a fan of like, here's this beer that comes out every year? Now, you're talking like what Kevin mentioned was like seasonal versus your flagship or whatever. He's talking about how Boston Lager for Sam Adams tastes the same now as it did 20 years ago. And I was talking about how Mad Elf using it as an example is like every year the recipe is the same, but it always tastes different. There's always different variants. Sometimes the cherry's heavier, sometimes the honey's more prevalent. Like it's all different depending on what the ingredients are. When you're adding adjuncts, I think that's also part of it, Kevin. Like if you're adding cherry and honey, that's going to differ year to year depending on what product you're getting in to add as an adjunct.
Yeah, the cherry crop could be different. The honey crop could be different. You can be getting it from a different source.
Yep.
Yeah, and sorry, it's good though.
No, I was just going to say it's the same like with wine. Like even like you're going to have a different crop of grapes every year. If you're growing off the same vine, you're not going to get let's say you're going to make a Gewürztraminer. That Gewürztraminer is going to taste different every year depending on the weather and how your grapes absorb moisture, and it's all different. Like I kind of like that. I kind of like the variance a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think you're given more leeway on seasonals. And I think part of the reason is because they're seasonals, and like meaning you only get them during this time frame. Like again, it's funny because again, I'm on my maybe I should even say I'm on my 5th idiot farm here.
Wait, 5th since we started or 5th of the day?
Look, since we started, do you really want me to prove my valor here? I can if you want me to. But my point is that listen, man, Idiot Farm is one of my deals. It's my seasonal. When I see it's on, I get it. And when I get it, I drink it. And I love it. And is this different than last year? Yeah, it tastes different. But you know what? It might have tasted different even if it's the same fucking recipe. Because I went like all this time without having it. Whereas Sam Adams, what you guys say? Sam Adams,
Boston Lager.
The Boston Lager. If that's your jam, you're jamming at it all the time. So anytime that changes, you're going to know that second. But as opposed to a seasonal where you give it more, in my opinion, you give a seasonal more like, especially if you love it, you give it more like leeway. Like, oh, they changed it. It's cool. Like generally.
Yeah. No, I'm exactly the same way with like about Sierra Nevada. With like Sierra Nevada's Celebration Ale that they come out with every year.
Generally.
That is one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite seasonal ales. I can't wait for that one to come out here. And every now and then it's there's something slightly different about the hop, or the what's the other one? The Anchor Steam New Year's Ale that they do, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even.
It's the same thing. I mean,
Anchor Steam Christmas Ale.
It's a little different than the year before, and that's fine. I'm like, hey, they haven't made it in 9 months. Something something can happen in 9 months that makes it different than it was before.
I will say though, there are exceptions to the rule, and Bell's Oberon is one. I don't know if you guys, people don't like when that beer changes at all whatsoever, and it's a seasonal beer. In fact, I'm looking for that shit right now. Where's
Dude,
Bell's
did you-
Oberon?
They came out with one that was like they just came out with one that was like a mango Oberon.
Yeah,
And
they've had that for a while, actually.
Yeah, and
For the
I
record.
haven't tried it. I like Oberon, but you're right. I think that is like a weirdly super consistent seasonal, and I don't know how they pull it off.
Well, and if it changes even a little, people know about that one. Like so, but Mad Elf again is Kevin's favorite. But it's one that it's another one that changes it though. It's another one that changes, in my opinion. It's not the same every year.
No,
and again, that goes back to the cherries, but it also goes back to again, seasonals are what you know, like to me, a seasonal, I'm giving you a little bit of leeway. It's to answer your question, Doug. On some level, again, on this, I love Idiot Farm, but Idiot Farm today is different. Idiot Farm was more bigger and juicier when it first came out. Now it's more like in your face, throwing hops at you, fuck you, if you like it or not. and I love that, of course. And of course, the Idiot Farm label and the name, it's just going to be ageless. It's going to be what do we call it in the blog world? Evergreen.
Yes.
So
you know what? Another one that is that changes every year, and not just the variants. Like every year, you see the Bourbon County Stout from Goose Island, which we discussed. Every year, that tastes different. It's a different ABV. It's it's not a different.
Expect it with that though. That's kind of that's kind of their thing, that it's going to be a little different every year. They're like, because they're like, this is the 2016 vintage. This is the 2018 vintage. They label them with the years on them. So you're kind of expecting that one year is going to taste different than another.
Yeah, and that's something that.
Okay, just like
you're right.
Analogy, they use the same thing. It's the same thing. You expect that a 2016 version of this wine is going to taste different than a 2019 version of that wine.
Yeah, that's true. And I hadn't thought of it in the fact that maybe it might even be some sort of marketing thing.
Could be. Yeah, it all boils down to marketing. We should all know that by now.
Yeah. I think I have 3 different Bourbon County Stouts in my cellar fridge.
Daniel Fisher, you're my man. I can't. The same thing. I buy that's like the one. That's like one of the seasonals I buy constantly throughout until I can't find it anymore.
Hey, Greg.
Oh wow.
Hey, Greg, if we make a New York City beer trip run thingy with Daniel Fisher,
when?
I don't know when. I thought we were talking
when it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but I was thinking 2022. I think is what Daniel was talking about. Kevin, you're not far. You need to come with us. That's going to be a fucking blast.
Hello.
As long as it's not in August, I'm good.
I have no idea when it'll be. I'm just saying, like you should be with us because
that'll be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Amen.
Man, I've had this, and I love the taste of this freaking Dragon's Milk thing. I normally don't tout a beer twice. This is just fucking great.
Again, what is it? Dragon's Milk with what?
So it's double bourbon barrel aged. So it was aged in 2 different bourbon barrels with Madagascar and Indonesia vanilla beans. So it's 2 different vanilla beans as well. And you just go, how the fuck are they like doing this? Like you said, how they come up with all this weird shit, and it just fucking always fucking works.
Right. Vanilla is one you got to delicately fuck with too, because it can be real sweet.
Yeah, so what I figured out is they age it for 3 months in bourbon barrels with Madagascar vanilla beans, whatever. And then it was moved to a fresh set of bourbon barrels for another 3 months with the Indonesian vanilla beans. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of work, but fuck, this is so good. I'm trying to think of it. All right, I don't go into hyperbole much. That's one of the better beers I've had this year. That is so fucking burb.
Wow. So yeah, man. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, and so I mean, normally I don't have the same beer in the show. I try to go every show. I try to add something different. Tonight I went a little different because I added local grind from Empire because I love that beer. And this year, and this is something we just talked about, like the variant this year, way heavier coffee flavor, like way more. And it's a Scotch ale with coffee. And I was like, that's super intriguing. Last year, that was enormously well balanced. It was super good. This time the coffee's a little bit heavier, but that's kind of the thing. It's like it's a microbrewery, and sometimes they're not quite, maybe the coffee beans they got were just much stronger. Like you just don't know. Like I said, when you're adding adjuncts, shit just kind of can go off the rails sometimes. So, but I am so envious of how. I think the only one of the Dragon's Milk / variants I've ever had of theirs that I did not like was the hibiscus. Out of all of them that I've had, and I have had tons of them, and that's the only one I did not like. That's really good brewing if you can figure that shit out, how to add all that stuff and make everything taste good.
Right. And you know what else is really good brewing? In my opinion,
It's really good brewing.
Yeah, no, right. This is why you and I, brother. I was gonna say, if I could drink 5 Idiot Farms and
still be coherent,
well, yeah. No,
maybe.
No. But for my favorite palate, who needs to be moving on every time, like I am that guy. Like I'm just tired of your beer the second I have it. Like, I know it's bad. People say that I play into. I've gotten these things where people say that I play into the fad beers and all that. Well, why I play into the fad beers is because it's a different taste, dog. It's not because it's a fad beer. It's because it's something I never tasted before. This is why I got rained out, but I was trying to go to Untitled Art this week. Untitled Art is arguably the closest brewery to my house. I have that and I have Carbon 4. They're both like almost I think they're literally 1.1 mile like closer or further to my house than the other one is. Okay. I prefer Carbon 4 vastly more than I can prefer Untitled Art. Everyone around the world loves Untitled Art. And if you love it, that's great. My problem with Untitled Art is there's a lot of adjuncts and there's a lot of palate battering. If you go there, they got seltzers, they got non-A, they got barrel age, they got pastry stouts, they have fruity beers, they have beers. Sours. Yeah, they got a million sours. They have they have some conventional beers. Don't get me wrong, some IPAs, some straight up, but they're just about flavors. And they're about hitting your fucking palate with flavors. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. But it's something that is really, really, I don't know. It's easy for me to skip over in Madison. So I was going to go there this week. I'm going there next week because I missed it last week. I'm going to go there and have lunch and have a flight of beers and see how much diversity I can get there. But people love the Untitled Art. Have you guys seen the Untitled Art? Do you feel what I'm talking about? If you're not, you haven't been in the group because the group posts. I feel like it's all Untitled Art sometimes. What do you got with the Untitled Art, Kevin, and then Doug, and then we'll have to wrap this up. Otherwise, we'll be here for 4 more hours.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of their beers, and they're usually all very interesting, if nothing else. So they're all they're all really flavorful and tasty. I mean, I skip over them a few times just because I'm like, I don't want to pay $17 for a 4-pack.
Right. Well, that's another issue with Untitled Art.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, sometimes the price. Right. I mean, I'm like, if it's like, $12, $13, $14, maybe $14 a 4-pack. Sometimes it's kind of like my limit, unless it's something really interesting or intriguing. But yeah, I mean, they're like very, very pricey, and I'm like, so I don't drink them all the time. But I think I agree completely with what you're saying. They're always going for something that's going to really kind of like go like, whoa, this is going to be different. You're going to try, and you've never had this style, you've never had this flavor before. It's not Untitled Art, but it's Industrial Arts. Is now what I'm drinking now.
Ooh, I have some.
Is that up by you, Doug?
Yeah, that's actually in New York State, and they make some really fucking great beers.
Yeah. Now we were talking about spring beers. This is the Spring Landscape Hellas Mock.
Oh, look at that!
Yes.
Yeah, it's really. first, I want to apologize for this glass because my son got it from his roommate in college. So I didn't have a Stang. This is the closest thing I had to it. It's got Bud Light on one side and it's got the Patriots on the other. I apologize.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, I'm a Jets fan. So this
want
was
both?
more than you guys.
Yeah, right.
So, but it's a really I just picked this up the other day. It's a really nice beer.
Yeah, they make an excellent Baltic porter if you can find it.
Okay, I've had a few of theirs before. I don't know if I've had the porter, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got that really nice. It's got, you can see, it's got the really nice color. It's really clear. My glass is actually a little. It's so cold. It's actually steaming up my glass there.
Condescending.
We've got that nice, crisp, hard edge that a Hellesbach, but it's got then it kind of like it ends in that like really soft kind of sweet flavor to it. Yeah. Helles. I love Helleses. They're a great beer to have when the weather's, when the transition from spring to summer.
Yep.
And that's not what was I saying before, Doug? A bitch lager? A basic bitch lager.
Not a basic bitch lager. No, it's
right.
Bach.
Right.
Yeah. And it is another underbrewed style. Like we don't see a whole lot of Hellesbachs at all. Like I see a few, I actually have one in my fridge, I think, that's from Daniel there, who just talked about that. And he sent me one from Alewife that I think I still have in my fridge that I got to.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Doug,
Yeah, I know Von Trapp up in Vermont makes a pretty good Helles.
Mm-hmm.
Two Roads in Connecticut made Cruise Control as their Helles Bach. That it's year round now. They started that last year. Those are
Two Roads is solid.
Yeah, those are the two big ones I know off the top of my head that I can always find someplace.
Two Roads is solid.
Yeah, and they make a metric shit ton of Gosas. Like their freaking Gosas stuff. I know, Greg, you're not a fan of that style, but my God, they make I think
I'm a fan when it's pretty good.
They have like a dozen of them. They have like
they have like a dozen ones. They're like fucking key lime. They called it Kaiser Gose, which was a great fucking name.
The one I was at a local beer fest when I was back in Connecticut that they had like 6 or 7 beers on tap that they were testing, and I got the Sauvignon Blanc Goes. It tasted like salty wine. It was so terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
That is not my style either. I've had a couple that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they make a lime one. I don't know if it's a key lime one or something. There's a lime one that they make, which is really good. There's a couple other odd ones that they make, but that's not a style that I like. But yeah, the Sauvignon Blanc, that was by far one of the worst ones I've ever had before. Because salty beer is bad enough, but salty beer wine. And thank you, Jeff, for
Greg is giving you a fist bump on that. I saw the Sauvignon Blanc one, and I was like, no,
do not.
I love Goses. I love Goses,
I've never seen anyone drink that.
Yeah, I saw that, and listen, I love Goses. I was not getting that because I thought it would taste like what you just said, Kevin, like salty wine. No thanks.
I don't think it registered. I think when I asked for it, it didn't really register in my head what I was getting into.
That's a style when you go wrong, it's really, really bad.
Yeah. Now, when you do it right, it's really good.
Well, right, but my point is that there are certain stouts that if you do it wrong, you can get through them. IPAs or pale ales. Some styles like Gosas, if you do it wrong, it's a drain pour. Like it's just the way the style works. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like, you know what I mean? You almost hit a grand slam home run. Now that Kevin's here, or you fucking just a balk or some bullshit. Like that's where, I mean, it's the ceiling is higher, you know what I mean? But the floor is lower. You know what I mean? That style's, it's just really, really sharp in that angle for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's not a lot of not a lot of room for error in that.
No, and I think that's why you have such strong especially with gozas. You have a really strong, like, people have a strong opinion on it, as opposed to Berliner Weisses. Again, almost the same thing, but like you have people with less stronger opinions about a Berliner Weiss than you will about a ghost. Like people are like, I love ghosts, or people are like, fuck ghosts. Like it's either, again, it's almost like the former president. Like it's one side or the other, and it's just because of. Well, I'm not even trying to bring up the former president, but I did. Jesus Christ! So that should be a time that you know it's time to wrap. That I'm bringing up the former president. Like,
yeah, let's not do that. Let's not relive that nightmare.
well,
Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it.
I did it like 7 times, so that clearly has to be the time.
This has been the most peaceful 6 months I've experienced in so long.
Oh, isn't it so nice?
Right.
I can watch the news at night. I can read the papers. I can
no.
Twitter feed. It's like I'm not like railing against everything in society.
Right, Kevin. I've literally taken the other way. I've taken the ignorant is bliss, and I've literally moved off of much politics. I don't even look at the news anymore because you know what? Ignorant is bliss. And I went through 4 years where I was literally watching every second. And now I'm literally not, and I feel better. And thank you for that. And I can go back to being a lazy, privileged, uneducated, uninformed American and be cool with that. Sorry. What is that? Don't want to be an American idiot. One nation controlled by the media. Yeah, Green Bay said that good, didn't they? That shit. Hey, Evergreen. Anyway, what are you gonna say, Kevin? I said a whole lot of dumb shit there. I don't know how you respond to any of that.
It's the idiot farm talking. You know, it just all makes sense.
Look at that. JG's trying to get me to stop.
Yeah, he's right. Hey, so Kevin, we're going to start wrapping this up, man. So tell us what you liked about the beers. No, whatever. What did you have? What did you like the best? Let's go there.
Okay. Well, you know, the mailbox I just love because it is like I can find Hellas's more than I can find mailbox. So I just love it just because it's a great style that really people need to make more and to drink more. It's a really lovely, flavorful, crisp but still slightly sweet style that people have. And the coffee cake porter was like surprisingly good because I always see these and like they're like, wow, like I see these kind of like dessert kind of beers and I'm like, oh, I get my expectations up really high. This one actually was not that, was kind of met them. I mean, it's not overpowering with the coffee. The cinnamon and the vanilla are a nice balance to it. That's it. And I had a great time. Thanks so much for having me on again. This is like always one of my favorite things to do.
And we love having you on because it's always a fucking good time. Look, it's 2 hours. Feels like it's 5 minutes. And we say that a lot, but I'm going to tell you, man, we have you on. It never fails to disappoint. It's always fucking fun as hell.
My wife is like, wait, you're like, she's like, you're like, it's 45 minutes before you have to do this. What are you doing? Like, you're sitting there, you're picking out your beers, you're putting them in a little cooler.
Yes.
I'm like, be prepared.
Not delivering this lasagna.
Exactly.
Hey, I delivered lasagna for you all day. You can ease up.
Hold on, Kevin? Before you go,
did you get lasagna? I will give her that.
Kevin, did you get any lasagna?
No, but we had leftover sauce. So I made pasta tonight, and I had the leftover sauce.
Oh, okay,
and the sauce was really good. And my wife was saying, like, wow, this sauce I made was really good. And I said, yeah, it's because we actually use real meat in it rather than like turkey like we usually do. It's like beef. That's why it tastes so much better than what we normally make.
Right.
I'm gonna
we give the unhealthy stuff to the people we're giving the charity cases.
Yeah, because it's probably less expensive. Although
that's what it's tastes.
I will say one thing.
That's why we give it to them.
One thing I converted to in the last 2 years with lasagna instead of like beef is Italian sausage. Taking it out of the casing, pieces of it, and it is superb.
If you can find a good butcher who makes great sauce, there's like one of the really cool things about living up here. people believe in butchers up here in northern
Oh.
Massachusetts. And there's this place called Butcher Boy, and I make the steaks have been incredible that we've gotten from there. We had like we got corned beef there for St. Patrick's Day. It's gray corned beef. It's not like the really bright red juicy stuff you get in the supermarket. It's gray, and it was great. Yeah, the sausage I haven't had yet, but I'm looking forward to trying some this summer so I can throw it on the grill.
Yeah, our butcher here is also called Butcher Boys. So,
all right, Kevin.
Not real originality there.
Yeah,
Kevin, we'll see you at the end of this year or at the start of next one.
Yes, I look forward to it. Hey, you guys go to New York playing a trip.
Oh, well, hold on. It's the end of this year. We have the Mad Elf time. We will see you Mad Elf time.
Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. And
or
still see you with Mad Elf.
So how about we do a different version of Christmas stuff? And this is just a off the cuff. We might not do it. Everybody gets their own Christmas beer that they want to tout.
Okay.
There we go. And we'll have some Mad Elf too.
I'll have Mad Elf. I don't give a shit if anybody else wants. That's going to be mine. I'm claiming that.
We need to check in on Mad Elf for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And Manny wants you guys to know that Butcher Boys is not a movie you want to watch late night on cinema.
No, it is not.
Kevin, thanks for being on. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
And stick around, Kevin, if you want to have
some beers afterwards with us.
The sixth beer of singing American Idiot after 5 Idiot Farm.
You did not sing it. Let's be clear. We're not getting boycotted for that. Fuck that.
No, but I don't want to be an American idiot.
No,
one nation controlled by the media, and I didn't sing that.
Nope.
But you're going to sing. You're going to sing your beers, aren't you, or no?
I can. Does anybody really want that? Because I'm pretty sure they don't. Because I can't sing worth a lick. So we all know what you like.
I got a peppermint penny pistachio.
Yes, I've seen that one.
Would you be down with that, Doug?
I don't like pistachios, but I want to try that shit. I know he had that, and I want to say it's off color. I could be wrong. I think that's who made that.
Yeah, that's a local one for Joel.
Yeah, and that sounded super good, and I'm not really a pistachio person. So anyway, I'm going to make this quick. This is really close between the New England IPA and the local grind. I'm going to say the local grind was only slightly better, only because I like Scotch ales more than IPAs. And this was just a slightly bit long in the tooth. If this was a little fresher, if I'd have had it sooner, probably been better. This just had the coffee was like way heavier than normal. So normally the local grind is one of my favorite beers that I get every year. Coffee is a bit heavy, and this thing just fucking rocked everybody out of the fucking park. This thing is.
And Dragon's Milk. At this point, I'm done questioning all that shit.
Yeah.
I was done questioning the cave.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you go, if they do something where the beer doesn't taste wrong, you just go, oh well, that is not what I expected, but I know all the other ones will taste good. So, Hop Butcher, thank you. Sorry, Joel, I couldn't remember who made that, but I remember seeing that you had that, and I was like, fuck, that looks so good.
Yeah, and don't be too sorry, because and Joe will agree with us. It's hard to distinguish between all the great Chicago breweries.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. So yeah,
there's a lot of them for sure. So I will say that Idiot Farm is clearly one of my favorite.
Considering you had nothing else,
right? Look, you almost want to make me sing another song, but as Elton John would say, I'm still standing. Damn it. So you sung it. Shut up. Shut up.
It doesn't sound anything like that. I'm not standing. This thing sucks. And
right. Right. This doesn't suck. It's Idiot Farm. It's fantastic. Doug, I only have one more left. So unless I roll to the brewery, I'm not going to be able to send you one.
Yeah. No worries. So we should do a quick thing about who we're having on next week, right? It's your guy, Steve Smith.
We have Steve Smith on, and we might have a big announcement, and we may not. But Steve Smith is from the super califragilistic expialidocious. It's actually the super. I have a super fun gaming stream. No, the super fun podcast something. Anyway, he's a podcaster. He's a gamer, and it's gonna be fun when we talk to him.
Yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff to talk to him about with E3 and everything. So yeah,
no, did Greg finish the 6-pack? No, but Doug, this is where we're gonna have. This is our last point. We're working on a Patreon, so that we're trying to pay the bills here. StreamYard costs a couple $100. Doug and I would like to pay the bill, so we're gonna do a Patreon. And we're gonna offer you guys to come in. We're gonna do a couple post productions if Doug wants to do it, where you guys come in and see us hang out with Kevin in a couple minutes. Right. So this would be great if don't be a quitter, Greg. No, I'm cool. it would be great if we could just flip it to the Patreon now, and y'all can get on there and y'all can see me drink my 6th beer. This is my 5th one here. So I for you guys to see me drink 501 beer,
that is amazing. It is
amazing. It is.
That
it's
is
never
very
going to
unlike
happen. It's never going to happen ever.
I don't think you've had 5 beers on the show, but one other time, and never the same one.
It wasn't the same one, right? Idiot Farm is just fucking great, and I just love it. Nope, I'm not gonna get a fans. No, it's not. Manny. Okay, Manny. If you want to do some cereal exploitations and beer, and we can maybe talk about that, Manny, but you're gonna have to be involved. Just so you know. If I'm gonna get a fans only account, you're gonna be involved, Manny. It's gonna be one of those. So save the Patreon launch for September. Maybe. Daniel, great show, gents. Cheers. Yes. And Daniel, we need to have you back on more than what we had you on once.
I know, and you're like the godfather of shipping beers, so we kind of need to have him back.
Not only that, man, this man knows. Man, this man knows
a lot of shit.
Yeah,
I think what we need to have him on and not talk about beer, but talk about spirits, and all the different other shit that he gets into, and all the other culture shit that Daniel knows. Daniel's way beyond beer. We know that, but oh look, see, Manny's nipples got hard. See, dog, we're hitting this OnlyFans thing could really take off. Yeah, well, Manny, sorry about your luck, man.
Okay.
Oh, you finished already, Manny? Way to go!
Right. Okay, I'm done. Right. It took like what? Manny's a 1-2 minute wonder. Wow.
Oh, man. We got a really
good pour.
Hey, that is pretty interesting to be that fast. Good for you, Manny.
Wow.
He's efficient. All right, I think we need to end this before we get in trouble.
And on that note, we'll see you guys next week with Steve Smith. Oh, and a week after is Aaron Govea
and MJ.
Like, right, we got MJ. That's going to be the shit.
That's huge.
Right, because MJ is the shit, and Aaron Govea is great.
He's all right. He's all right.
But compared to MJ, I mean, it's not even.
Yeah.
Let's just stop with all that. And Aaron, actually, this is one thing we'll all agree on. Like, MJ up here, Aaron down here. We're cool. So it's going to be great, too. We also going to have First Sip Brewbox and his wife.
Awesome.
His wife's coming on. She don't interview.
Yeah.
She only wanted to interview because of me, dog.
Wow. That's because you're red.
Nah.
No, you are.
No, it's just that she's cool.